right, everybody, what's going on? How y'all doing? Welcome to today's edition of SWAC Talk, so we cover the SWAC inside and out. I'm your tour guide around the SWAC Seawells coming at you, and we back with some more basketball action. Got our January 25th games, Saturday games. We're gonna recap those games that took place, and I'm gonna share my thoughts on all those games. And we're gonna make it do what it do. Um, Hit those socials, man. Facebook is Swag Talk, Instagram Swag Talk, Twitter Swag Talk 76. Like the video, comment, and share. My transfer portal video should be dropping tomorrow. That'll be the second and final part in my series. I'm looking at guys moving, in this case, moving from the FBS down to the SWAC. We had my previous video was guys moving from SWAC up to the FBS. So, I wanted to kind of take a look at how guys did when they came to the SWAC. So we're gonna have that video hopefully coming at you tomorrow, and then Wednesday, who knows? Thursday is Swag Smoke live 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, and excuse me, and Saturday we're gonna I have a short giving my winners for Saturday games. Monday I have a short giving my winners for Monday's games, and then Sunday we'll recap that Saturday action, and we're gonna sprinkle in football as usual as we do. All the time. So with that being said, man, we're going to go ahead and jump directly into this. We're not going to waste too much time. Just taking a look back at the game that took place on Monday, January 20th. Alcorn beat Prairie View by a score of 78-70. Texas Southern beat Jackson State 81-73. Florida A&M beat Valley 83-53. And then Pine Bluff lost to Bethune-Cookman 73-64. Basically, just kind of to recap my numbers for my picks coming into Monday's games. I was 10-2 because I went 5-1 both Saturday, that Monday and Saturday. I went 2-2 on Monday, so that put my record at 12-4. And looking at today at Saturday's games, I lost. I had one loss, so I went 5-1. So that made me 17-5. So doing pretty good right now. Been able to kind of come up pretty good on these games. But we're gonna go ahead and start off with Southern and Arkansas Pine Bluff. Jaguars got a victory over the Golden Lions. Thanks to basically a big second half. They won this game by a score of 83-67. They led by 6 at the half. Although the first half was pretty competitive. Pine Bluff, Southern jumped out early. Pine Bluff was able to go on I think it was a 11-0 run and pull close to within 1 or 2 points. Southern would build a lead out again and go up by 6 at the half. Coming out of the second half, Pine Bluff opened up the half with a 3-pointer, and then they kind of went cold. They had a 7-minute plus stretch. Scoreless basketball, where Southern was able to stretch that lead out up to 23 points at the most before Pine Bluff made a couple runs late to chip into it, and ultimately ended up losing 83-67. Southern finished the night. Southern was led by DeAndre Thomas with 19 points and 9 rebounds. It was 7-7 from the field and 5 or 6 from the line. He also had 2 blocks as well. And Jordan Johnson had 15 points, going 5 or 9 from the field, 3 or 6 from 3, and 2 or 2 from the free throw line. He also had 3 rebounds as well, and 3 steals. And also Michael Jacobs finished with 15 points and 5 rebounds as well, 3 assists, and 2 steals on the night as well. He shot 3 of 10 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3, but he was 9 of 11 from the free throw line. Southern finished the night with 43 rebounds, 22 fouls, 12 assists, 15 turnovers, 4 blocks, and 12 steals. First half, they shot 43%, 17 of 39. Second half, they shot 47%, 9 of 19, giving them a total of 25 for 58 for 44%. They were 6 of 16 from 3 in the first half for 37%, 2 of 7 in the second half for 28%, making them 8 of 23 on the game for 34%. They were 3 of 5 for 60% on free throws in the first half, 20 of 25 in the second half for 80%, putting them at 23 of 30 for the game for 76%. There were a ton of free throws shot in this game between both teams in the second half. In the second half, both teams combined for 48 free throws. So it was a ton of free throws in the second half. When you compare that to 17 in the first half, Southern finished with 34 points in the paint, 15 points off of turnovers, 9 second chance points, 9 fast break points, and 26 bench points. One of the lowest bench outings of the night of the season, but they got a heavy dose of scoring from the starters bench. Bench did have some critical plays here and there, but this was a starters game more than a bench game, as it's been for Southern for a while. No ties and no lead changes. Southern got the lead early and never let it go. Pine Bluff was led by Dr. Bradley with 13 points and 10 rebounds, 5 assists as well, 3 steals. Not his typical scoring game that we've seen from him in recent times. Southern used the 2-3 zone in the second half to kind of frustrate the Golden Lions. Bradley was 4 of 10 from the field and 5 of 15 from the free throw line. Also in double figures were Quentin Bolton with 13 with 11 points. He was 3 of 5 from the field, 2 of 3 from three. He also had 3 of 4 on free throws. He finished with 4 rebounds and 1 block and 3 steals. Also, Dante Sawyer had 11 points, 1 steal, and 2 rebounds on the night. He was 4 of 10 from the field, 1 of 2 from three, and 2 of 3 from the line. Golden Lions finished with 31 rebounds, so they got out rebounded by 12. They finished with 20 fouls, 11 assists, 16 turnovers, 1 block, and 9 steals. First half, they shot 50%, 12 of 24. Second half, they shot 29%, 8 of 27. And like I said, they had a long scoreless streak. So that really chewed into the second half shooting numbers, making them 20 of 51 for the game for 39%. First half, they were 5 of 10 from three for 50%. Second half, they were 3 of 10 for 30%, making them 8 of 20 for 40%. Free throw shooting, they were atrocious in the second half, going 11 of 23 for 47%. They were 8 of 12 in the first half for 66%, and they were 19 of 35 for the game for 54%. Um, they finished with 24 points in the paint, 13 points over turnovers, 8 second chance points, 6 fast break points, 28 bench points. They got a pretty solid bench outing for them. But they just, they had a horrible second half, and that they were unable to overcome that 7 minute scoreless stretch that watched that lead go from like 2 to 20 at certain points. And when you play like that and you already struggle defensively, it makes it really tough for you to kind of get back in the game if your shots ain't falling. So um, this was a tough loss for the Golden Lions, as they remain winless in conference play, and that puts them in a tough spot. This is their worst SWAC start in quite some time. They're right now they're 0-6 in conference, 13-16 overall. Southern improves to 11-8 and 6-0 in conference. So we'll see how both teams finish out this weekend. Um, as they both have games of varying degrees of difficulty coming up on Monday. Next game we have is Grambling taking on Valley. Valley was very, very game in this game. They were very gritty and scrappy, but they ultimately lost this game 65-54. They led Grambling at the half 27-23 before Grambling was able to pull away in the second half and outscored the Delta Devils 42-27 to give them an 11-point victory, 65-54. Tigers improved to 2-8. Tigers improved to 5-14 overall and 2-4 in conference. Delta Devils dropped to 2-18 and 0-7 in conference. Grambling was led by Antoine Burnett with 12 points. He had 5 rebounds and 4 assists, 2 steals. He shot 3 of 9 from the field, 2 of 4 from three, and 4 of 6 from the free throw line. Also with 12 points was Emarion McDonald. 12 points for him, 1 rebound. He was 4 of 5 from the field, including in that number was including 4 of 5 from the 3-point line. And also a double figures was Mikael Stevenson with 11 points. He had 3 rebounds and 4 assists on the night. Also 3 steals. He shot 3 of 9 from the field, 2 of 3 from three. Um, and Gremlin, they had finished with 28 rebounds on the night, 13 fouls, 11 assists, 7 turnovers. Really good game for them taking care of the basketball. 2 blocks and 9 steals. First half, they shot 37%, 9 of 24. Second half, they were 12 of 25 for 48%, putting them at 21 of 49 for the game for 42%. They were 3 of 7 from three in the first half for 42%. Second half, they were 7 of 13 for 53%, putting them at 10 of 20 for the game for 50%. And they shot 61% from the free throw line in the game, 13 of 21. First half, they were 2 for 4 for 50%. Second half, 11 for 17 for 64%. They finished with 18 points in the paint, 12 points over turnovers, 10 second chance points, 10 fast break points, and 31 bench points. The game had 7 ties and 9 lead changes, so it was a very nip and tuck back and forth game till Grambling was able to seize control and pull away toward the end. Arthur Tate led Valley with 21 points and 6 rebounds. He was 6 of 13 from the field, 4 of 7 from three, 5 of 5 from the line. Also, Alvin Stredick was the other Delta double with double figures with 11. He was 3 of 6 from the field and 5 of 6 from the line. He had 7 rebounds as well, and 1 steal. Valley only had they only had 5 guys that scored in this game. So even though they played a lot of guys, they just really didn't get a lot of points from a lot of people, and that's gonna hurt you every time. They were Daniel Umoa finished with 9 rebounds to lead the team as well. Um, they finished with 35 rebounds, so they did win the rebounding battle against Grambling by 7. They had 18 fouls, 8 assists, 15 turnovers, 2 blocks, and 2 steals. They shot 40% the first half, 9 of 22. Second half, they were 9 of 27 for 33%, putting them at 18 for 49 for 36% for the game. 3-point shooting, they were 4 of 9 in the first half for 44%, 2 of 11 in the second half for 18%, putting them at 6 of 20 for 30% for the game. Free throws, they were 5 of 6 in the first half for 83%, 7 of 7 in the second half for 100%, making them 12 of 13 for 92% from the line. They finished with 20 points in the paint, 6 points over turnovers, 16 second chance points, 5 fast break points, and 15 bench points. As you could see, their second half shooting just really went in the tank, and that really is what did them in. Their numbers dropped significantly, especially from 3-point range in the second half, and they were unable to keep the momentum that they had built up in the first half. And this game kind of got away from them. So Delta Devils still looking for their first conference win. Uh, I still feel like when you play them up there, you got to be ready for anything. So if you're coming in, kind of expecting to just walk over them, you might get sent home with a loss, but you have to come ready for the fight. And Grambling was ready for the fight. They needed that win, and they got the win that they needed. The next game we had was Bethune-Cookman and Jackson State. Uh, Wildcats dropped an 81-86 decision to the Tigers. This game was a 40-31 game at the half. Um, Wildcats outscored the Tigers by 4 in the second half, and kind of made this a more interesting game. Just looking at when Bethune kind of made their run, they were actually down by 17 points in the second half. They were down 70-53 with 7:17 left. They were actually chewing to that lead, um, and they would get it down to 2 at a minute and 32 points, minute and 32 seconds in the game. They would get the lead down to 77-75 before Jackson State would kind of wrap it up and ultimately end up winning this game. Um, End up winning this game by 5. Bethune made it. They made a run, couldn't really get over the hump. But like I said, they cut it down to 2 a couple of times. Just couldn't get over that, and Jackson State was able to get the victory. But a really solid effort from Bethune-Cookman to kind of claw their way back into this game. They're not a team that really is a really great offensive team. So this game being more high tempo and higher scoring is kind of out of what they do. And it kind of hurt their defensive effort that they typically have, but they were able to make this a game and keep it competitive even after dropping behind by double digits. Wildcats dropped to 7-12 overall, 4-2 in conference. Tigers improved to 5-14 overall and 5-1 in conference. Trey Thomas led the Wildcats with 20 points and 2 rebounds. He also had 3 assists on the night and 1 steal. He was 7 of 21 from the field, 3 of 8 from three, 3 of 4 from the line. Also in double figures was Daniel Ruzon with 18 points and 9 rebounds. He also had 2 assists on the night, 1 block as well. He was 8 of 11 from the field, 1 of 1 from three, and 1 of 1 from the line. Also, Jesus Carrello Martin finished with 17 points and 2 rebounds. He had 1 block and 2 steals, going 5 of 8 from the field, 2 of 4 from three, 5 of 5 from the line. Also, Khalil Kamara had 15 points off the bench and 10 rebounds. He led the team with those 10 rebounds, so a double-double off the bench for him. Also had 1 steal. He shot 3 of 6 from the field, 2 of 5 from three, and 7 of 9 from the line. Wildcats finished with 37 rebounds, 18 fouls, 11 assists, 18 turnovers, 3 blocks, and 4 steals. First half, they shot 36%, 11 for 30. Second half, they heated up, shooting 16 of 29 for the second half of 55%, giving them a 45% clip, 27 of 59. They were 4 of 12 from three in the first half for 33%, 5 of 11 in the second half for 45%. They were 9 of 23 for the game for 39%. They were 5 of 8 from the free throw line for 62% in the first half, 13 of 16 in the second half for 81%, giving them a total of 18 for 24 for 75% for the game. They finished with 32 points in the paint, 8 points off of turnovers, 13 second chance points, 14 fast break points, 19 bench points. This game did have 5 ties and 9 lead changes before JSU was able to kind of get control of this game. Deshaun Ruffin, big game for Jackson State, 37 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 steal. He was 12 of 22 from the field, 5 of 9 from three, and 8 of 10 from the line. Also, Mansell finished with 16 points and 7 rebounds. He had 1 assist and 1 block, also 1 steal, 5 of 9 from the field, 0 for 2 from three, and 6 of 6 from the line. And Dorian McMillan finished with 10 points and 8 rebounds. He also had 1 steal and 1 block, 1 assist as well. He was 3 of 6 from the field, 0 for 2 from three, and 4 of 4 from the line. Tigers finished with 34 rebounds, so they got out rebounded by 3. They had 19 fouls, 10 assists, 10 turnovers, 5 blocks, and 10 steals. They shot 46% in the first half, 14 of 30, 14 of 28 for the game, 14 of 29 for the second half, giving them a 48% clip there, and 28 of 59 for the game for 47%. They were 4 of 12 from three in the first half, 33%, 3 of 8 in the second half for 37%. And that made them 7 of 20 for the game for 35%. 8 of 10 from the line in the first half for 80%, 15 of 20 in the second half for 75%, putting them at 23 of 30 for 76%. They finished with 34 points in the paint, 20 points over turnovers, 15 second chance points, 21 fast break points, and 14 bench points. So this was just a really good outing for them. They were able to take those punches that Bethune-Cookman was throwing late and hold them off and get a big victory to keep themselves in the mix early. Like I said, we're only in the third weekend of the season, I believe it is. So you're really in a position where this is the fourth weekend, excuse me, fourth weekend of the season. So you're really at that point now where you're gonna start to kind of be able to figure out who these teams are. Um, in the next couple games, you really have a better idea of who these teams are. But JSU were able to keep themselves in the mix as they have a couple big games coming up next week, and they have a big game coming up, a surprising big game coming up Monday because of FAMU playing better these last couple weeks. But JSU picks up the win. Bethune drops a tough one, and both teams are in action on Monday. The next game we have is Alabama State defeating Prairie View by a score of 28 to by a score of 66 to 63. They led this game 28 to 26 at the half. They outscored the Panthers 38 to 37 in the second half to get a 3-point victory. Um, just looking at kind of the way this game went, it was basically a nip and tuck type of game. I think in the second half, Bama State biggest lead looked like it was 9. So they never really built up a huge lead. They got it up to 8 a couple times, but Prairie View kind of just stayed within striking distance. Bama State was up by 8 with 4:47 left in the game before Prairie View kind of just chipped away, but never really got it too far down. They got it to 1 with 11 seconds left in the game. Bama State got up to 3 after some free throws, and then they got it back down to 1 before Bama State got it up to 3 at the end of the game. So it was more one of those games where PV just kept on pushing and kept on pushing and kept on pushing, but Bama State never really let them get in it and get ahead. But PV never they never gave up. But they are on a slide now, man. They've lost 3 in a row at this point. Going into last weekend, they were 3-1 in conference, and basically sitting in the mix for that second place spot right now. But they lost their last 3 games, and so they're in a vulnerable position right now. Again, like I said, it's still early, so a streak is not going to kill you now, but obviously the more games you lose, the less your chances are getting that regular season victory. Which now with that Black College Invitational Tournament, um, if you win the regular season but you don't win the SWAC tournament, the NIT is not really a thing for mid majors anymore, especially with they don't do the automatic bid for regular season champs. So having that second opportunity to go to that tournament for the first time, if you miss out on the dance, it is a big feather in your cap to finish in the top couple spots in the conference. So you still have some things that still can be in play. But right now, you're kind of losing ground with that with those top spots. You're not out of it, and obviously, you just want to get in the tournament because this is a 1 bid league, so you get in the tournament and win it. It don't matter where you finish in the regular season. So you're not out of the championship hunt, but you out of you kind of putting yourself further out of the regular season title race. For whatever that's worth to most people. But the Panthers dropped to 4-16, 3-4 in conference. Hornets improved to 8-11, 4-2 in conference. So they still are in a good spot right now. As we move into the latter part of this fourth weekend of basketball. Braylon Bush led the Panthers with 25 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 steals. He was 9 of 16 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, 4 of 6 from the line. Also, Marcel Bryant had 14 points and 9 rebounds. He also had 2 assists, 1 block, and 2 steals. He shot 5 of 10 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3, and 4 of 7 from the line. And Jordan Tillman finished with 13 points and 9 rebounds. He also had 1 assist on the night. He was 5 of 15 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3, and 2 of 2 from the line. Panthers is another team that didn't really get a lot of scoring from the rest of their team. They only had two other guys score outside of those 3 guys in double figures, so not much there. And they didn't get much from their bench, and that that's going to hurt you in games like this. They finished with 35 rebounds, 18 fouls, 5 assists, 9 turnovers. So they took care of the ball in this game, but they didn't really share it much. So they didn't have a lot of. They only had 5 assisted buckets. So not a lot of ball movement there. They had 1 block and 7 steals. They shot 10 of 28 from the field for the game for 35%. For the first half for 35%. 12 of 31 for the second half for 38%, making them 22 of 59 for the game for 37%. They were 3 of 12 from 3 in the first half for 25%. 2 of 10 in the second half for 20%, making them 5 of 22 for the game for 22%. just not a good shooting night for them. They were 3 or 4 from three. I mean, 3 or 4 from the line for 75%, 11 or 17 in the second half for 64%. Put them at 14 or 21 for the game for 66%. 26 points in the paint, 11 points over turnovers, 2 second chance points, 18 fast break points, only 6 bench points. Like I said, they didn't have a lot of guys to score in this game. 6 ties and 3 lead changes. If they could have got any production from their bench, that could have been a difference between a win and a loss. Their bench just did not they did not do a lot, even though they got some decent minutes from Horton, who had 30 minutes off the bench. The rest they only had 2 other guys combined for 12 minutes off the bench, so they didn't even really play much into their bench, and I think that can kind of hurt you in games like this. And TJ Matlock led the Hornets with 14 points and 13 rebounds. Big game for him on the boards. He had 3 assists as well. He was 5-8 from the field, 0 for 3 from three, and 4 or 5 from the line. Also with 14 points was Amar Knox. He also had 2 rebounds and 1 steal. He shot 6 of 12 from the field, 1 of 4 from three, and 1 or 2 from the line. And CJ Hines had 13 points and 2 assists, 1 rebound as well. He was 3 of 14 from the field, 1 of 5 from three, and 6 or 7 from the line. They will. They also got 9 rebounds from Ubong Okong, and they finished with 40 rebounds on the night. They won the rebounding battle by 5. 16 fouls, 10 assists, 12 turnovers, 1 block, and 4 steals. This is the one of the rare games where Bama State loses the turnover battle. They didn't lose it by much, but they typically don't turn the ball over a lot, and they still didn't. But Purdy turned it over even less, so they kind of came on the short end of the stick on the turnover battle, but they still were able to get the win. They shot 34% in the first half, 10 of 29. They did shoot 13 of 26 in the second half, for 50%, making them 23 of 55 for the game for 41%. So their shooting got better in the second half. Although their 3-point shooting still was not good in this game. They were 2 of 13 in the first half for 15%, 2 of 6 in the second half for 33%, making them 4 for 19 for the game for 21%. They were 6 of 8 from the free throw line in the first half for 75%, 10 of 13 in the second half for 76%, putting them at 16 for 21 for the game for 76%. They had 38 points in the paint, 7 points over turnovers, 4 second chance points, 29 fast break points, and 15 bench points. Um, Again, Panthers are, they're kind of reeling. They need to kind of right the ship and get themselves back on track. You don't want to drop too many more games, especially early, and dig yourself a hole that you need to get out of. But they were able to. They got to be able to try to find a way out of it. Next game is Alabama A&M taking on Texas Southern. The Tigers get an 82-78 overtime victory over the Bulldogs. This game was a 6-point lead at the half for Texas Southern. They led 30-24 before A&M outscored them by 6 in the second half, 39-33, to make this game an overtime game. And then TSU would outscore them by 4 in the overtime period to win by 4. Tigers improved to 8-11 and 5-1 in conference. A&M drops to 6-13 and 2-4 in conference. Just looking at how this game kind of went to get to overtime. TSU led this game by 8 early in the second half. Got their lead up to 9. Actually, at one point they were up by 11 at 37-26 with 15:51 to go. Before A&M kind of cut into the lead. They got it down to 5. Then TSU got it back up to 7. Ultimately, the Bulldogs would get drop back down by 8 and 42-34 in with 10 minutes and 21 seconds left in the game. They traded buckets a little bit. Tigers went up by 9 with 9:16 left in the game, 46-37. Then they went up by 10 with 8:13 left in the game. So they were sitting pretty with 8 minutes plus. Got up by 12 at 7:38 left in the game, 51-39, before the Bulldogs kind of started to chip away at this lead. They would cut it down to 5 at 5:50 left in the game, 53-48. get it down to 4, then 3 at 5:32 left in the game. TSU would get it back up to 5 at 55:50, and then the Bulldogs would get it to 4 at 56:52. That was with 3:38 left in the game. Uh, TSU would go up, would then go up by 5 at 2:31 left in the game, 59:54. Get that lead back up to 7 with 2:19 left in the game. So they're in a good spot right here, with the potential to put this game away. But the Bulldogs cut it down to 3 um, at 1:43 left in the game. TSU went back up by 5 with 1:22 left in the game, before the Bulldogs cut it down to 1 with a minute left, at 63-62, and they were tied up. Um, Basically at 63-62. Nobody would score at that point. TSU would miss a layup. A&M would get the ball, takes up a foul, and A&M would make a free throw, and they would they would be tied at 63 with 5 seconds left with another free throw. They missed the game winning free throw with 5 seconds left, before TSU would get the rebound, and that would send this game into overtime. So this was a game that it looked like TSU could have put away, um, pretty late in the second half, but A&M was able to actually have a chance to win at the line and went 1 or 2, and that sent the game in overtime. Um, TSU would go up by 5 early in overtime, 68-63. A&M would cut it down to 3. TSU would go back up by 4, before they cut it. Bulldogs cut it to 1, and then with a minute and 12 left in the overtime period, Tigers would go up by 4 at 72-68. They would actually go up by 5 and then be up by 6 with 53 seconds left in the game, and then they would be up by 8, with 35 seconds left in the game. Um, Before they basically traded buckets and free throws to the final margin, which was 82-78. So this was a game that the Bulldogs never went away, even in overtime. TSU built up a lead, but A&M kept chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. But they kind of got too deep, too down deep, to get out of it in the overtime period, and the Tigers would get the victory. Kavion McClain led the Tigers with 24 points. He also had 6 rebounds and 7 assists, 2 steals. Big game there. 5 of 12 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 12 of 13 from the line. Also, Kenny Hunter had 19 points and 4 rebounds, 2 blocks, um, and 3 steals. He was 8 of 12 from the field, 3 of 8 from the line. Also in double digits was Jalen Weisinger with 10 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block, and 2 steals. He was 2 of 7 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, and 4 of 4 from the line. Dwayne Posey led the team with 11 rebounds off the bench. Tigers finished with 41 rebounds, 21 fouls, 18 assists, 22 turnovers. Sloppy game there. Five blocks, 10 steals. They shot 26 of 53 for the game for 49%. First half, 13 of 23 for 56%. Second half, 9 of 24 for 37%. Overtime, 4 of 6 for 66%. They were 4 of 10 from 3 in the first half for 40%, 2 of 8 in the second half for 25%, 2 or 3 in the overtime period for 66%, making them 8 of 21 for the game for 38%. They were 0 for 4 from the free throw line in the first half, 13 of 21 in the second half for 61%, and 9 of 10 in the overtime period for 90%, where they put that game away. 22 or 35 from the line for the game for 62%. 28 points in the paint, 17 points off of turnovers, 8 second chance points, 15 fast break points, 21 bench points. This game was tied only once. And that's amazing that you have an overtime game that only was tied at the end. That 65, I think it was. That was the only time this game was tied. There were no lead changes at all. So, this is a game that, when you look at the score and you look at the way it went, you kind of think it was like a back and forth teams trading leads all game long, but it really wasn't. TSU basically had control of this game, but they just couldn't slam the door on the Bulldogs, and that made this game go into overtime. Uh, Alabama A&M was led by their bench in this game. They got 14 points from London Riley off the bench. He also had 1 rebound and one steal. He was 5 of 11 from the field, 4 of 9 from three. Didn't attempt a free throw. Also, Bilal Abdul Rahman had 13 points, 4 of 11 from the field, 1 or 2 from three, 4 or 5 from the line, and Clancy Crosby had 10 points, 3 or 4 from the field, didn't attempt a three, and 4 or 4 from the line. They were led by Salou Seye with 6 rebounds on the night. Bulldogs finished with 40 rebounds, so they lost the rebounding battle by one. 23 fouls, 11 assists, 18 turnovers, one block, and 11 steals. Kind of like I said with Bama State, Bulldogs don't typically win the turnover battle, but they won it here. They've been turning the ball over 20 plus times in a game, 20 plus times a game, and they actually turned it over 18, which is still a lot, but that's less than what they normally did. And they forced 22 turnovers, so they did win that battle, but it wasn't enough to get them to win in the game. They shot 9 of 27 from the field for 33% in the first half. Second half, they were 9 of 32 for 28% and 5 of 9 from three, and 5 of 9 in the second half from the field for 55%, making them 23 of 68 for the game for 33%. They were 3 of 5 from three in the first half for 20%, 5 of 11 in the second half for 45%, and 2 of 5 in the overtime period for 40%, making them 10 of 31 for the game for 32%. The key for them in this game was shooting 45% from three in the second half, because they only shot 28% from the field in the second half, so they didn't really shoot the ball well inside the 3-point range, but they were hot from three in the second half, and that got them back in this game. They were 3 of 3 from the line in first half, 100%, 16 of 26 second half, 61%, 3 of 3 in the overtime, 100%, making them 22 of 32 for the game for 68%. They finished with 22 points in the paint, 30 points off of turnovers, 6 second chance points, 7 fast break points, and 58 bench points. Like I said, their bench got it done. They had, like I said, 3 double-figure scores off the bench. So their second unit really kind of made this game happen, getting back into the game and getting them to win, or getting them a chance to win it in overtime. But ultimately, they dropped that game. Our final game of the day was a game that looked like it was gonna be a runaway victory um, for the Alcorn Braves, but FAMU made a big comeback and got the win, 65-64. Uh, Braves led 37-25 at the half before the Rattlers outscored them 40-27 in the second half. Like I say, Alcorn went up by 20 in the second half. Um, and looked like they had the game under control. FAMU couldn't hit the broadside of a barn from the outside in the first I would say first like 25 minutes of the game. Alcorn went up by 20 at 49 to 29 before FAMU got a bucket to cut it down to 18. Got another bucket to cut it down to 16. Alcorn would give up a third straight bucket to FAMU to cut the lead down to 14 before they got a 3-pointer by Milton Matthews to cut this lead down to 11. So from being down 20 at the 14:40 to 14:45 mark, they cut this lead down to 11 with 12:42. So in 2 minutes, they cut the lead down from 20 to 11. Um, then they would hit another three, this time from Sterling Young, to cut the lead down to 8 at 49-41. Alcorn would kind of stop the bleeding and get a field goal and go up 51-41 at the 11:27 mark before the Rattlers would give up a couple free throws to Alcorn, and Alcorn would go back up by 12. 3-pointer by Matthews would cut their lead down to 9 at 53-44. Alcorn would go back up after a dunk to go up 55-44 with 9:21 left in the game. Rattlers would cut it down to 8 after another three by Young. Rattlers would get the ball back. Young would hit another three to cut it down to 5 at 55-50. And then they would get a layup to cut the lead down to 3. I mean, cut the lead down, they're down to 3 with 7:25 left in the game. They would get another layup to go down by 1 with 6:15. So in about 8 minutes, they cut this lead down from 20 to 1. And then they took the lead off of another Sterling Young three with 5:26 left in the game to go at 57-55. Alcorn would cut it down to one after a free throw, and then Rattlers would go back up by three with 3:55 left in the game. Then they would go up by six after another three by Milton Matthews to lead 62-56 with 3:37 left in the game. Uh, Alcorn would cut it down to three, and then cut it down to two at the free throw line, 62-60, before the Rattlers would get a 3-pointer by Sterling Young with 2:26 left in the game to go up by five, 65-60. Alcorn would cut it down to a 3-point lead and then a 1-point lead with a minute and 35 seconds left in the game. Rattlers led 65-64, and then nobody scored. So this game ended on a minute and 35 second scoring drought for both teams. Um, and that's kind of odd. No fouls, no free throws down the line. This was just teams just missing shots and turning the ball over in that last minute and a half. So FAMU had a spirited rally, like I say, about an 8-minute rally to cut their lead from 20 to go up, and then ultimately go up by six and hold on to win. So this was a game that looked like FAMU was in, they were in the bushes dead. They couldn't, they were like 0 for 12 from three at a certain point, and ultimately were able to get hot from three and pull this game out. Alcorn dropped a very disappointing loss. They shot the ball well in the first half, came up short, but the Rattlers improved to 6-11, and now they're 3-3 in conference. So after an 0-3 start, they've won three in a row. They're playing some pretty good ball right now. Alcorn dropped to 3-16, 3-3 in conference. They've been kind of up and down, but it looked like they were gonna. This looked like the game that they needed in the first half. Second half, they just couldn't get it done. Sterling Young finished with 19 points for the Rattlers. He was 7 of 17 from the field, 5 of 10 from three. All 5 of those threes came in the second half. He had three rebounds as well, 2 assists. And also Milton Matthews had 16 points. He had 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. He was 6 of 12 from the field, 4 of 9 from three. Again, his 4 threes came in the second half. Neither one of those guys attempted a free throw. Also, Jermaine Charles finished with 10 points and 7 rebounds. He was 5 of 7 from the field, 0 for 1 from the line, and did not attempt a three. They also got 10 points from Roger Coffey, the third. So 10 rebounds from Roger Coffey, the third, and 5 assists. So he had a solid game. Also 7 points and 3 steals and 1 block. Rattlers finished the night with 39 rebounds, 18 fouls, 15 assists, 17 turnovers, 2 blocks, 4 steals. First half, like I said, they were cold as you can be, especially from outside. Inside 3-point range, they weren't that bad. They were 39%, 11 of 28. Second half, they were 15 of 32 from the field for 46%, giving them a 26 for 60 mark for the game for 43%. First half, they were 0 for 12 from three. Second half, 9 of 14. And like I said, all 9 of those threes came from 2 guys. So they really shot the ball extremely well in the second half from three, 64%. That's 27 points right there. So, that really is the difference in this game. They were able to really just cut into the lead and pull away because, a 9 3-pointer barrage in the middle of the second half. They were 9 for 26 for the game for 34%. They were 3 of 5 from the line for 60% in the first half. Only 1 for 2 in the second half for 50%, making them 4 of 7 for the game for 57%. They finished with 32 points in the paint, 15 points off of turnovers, 17 second chance points, 9 fast break points, 9 bench points. This game only had 1 tie and 2 lead changes. Benet finished with 13 points for Alcorn. He also had 6 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 block. He was 2 of 7 from the field and 9 of 11 from the line. Also, Williams finished with 15 points off the bench. He had 1 rebound as well and 1 block and 1 steal. He was 4 of 6 from the field, 3 of 5 from three, and 4 of 4 from the line. Braves finished with 25 rebounds. So this is the second game in the last 3 games that they just really have gotten abused on the boards. They lost the battle by 14. They had 14 fouls, 9 assists, only 11 turnovers. But a lot of those turnovers were late in this game. 4 blocks and 9 steals. They shot 48% for the first half, 13 of 27. Only 6 of 25 for the second half for 24%, making them 19 of 52 for 36% on the game. First half, they were 8 of 14 from three for 57%. Second half, 0 for 3, making them 8 of 17 for the game for 47%. So basically, for the second half shooting, they were 6 for 28. Um, and that's just going to kill you all the time in one half of a shooting. And this is kind of the inverse of the Texas Southern game. They scored 12 points in the first half of that game. This game they scored 27, but still just not a good half. Just a rough half that did them in. And this time it was the second half that did them in. They were 3 of 5 from the line in the first half for 60%, 1 or 2 for the excuse me, they were 3 of 5 for the game for the first half for 60% from the line. They were 15 or 17 from the line in the second half, making them 18 or 22 for 81% from the free throw line. Finished with 20 points in the paint, 21 points over turnovers, 9 second chance points, 8 fast break points, 26 bench points. And this was there's no other way to put it. This was a disappointing loss for Alcorn, but a great win for the Rattlers as they are now on a 3-game winning streak. So they're not really looking like they're pushover. They look like a team that's gonna, be a challenge to knock off. When Young and Matthews get hot, they're gonna be dangerous when those guys hit from three. They don't really have a lot else around them, but right now that's enough if you don't play well and they get hot. So they're going to be a team that you have to kind of look out for when you play them. But they're starting to get some confidence, and that's a big thing for them. Looking at the standings right now, Southern leads the conference at 6-0. They're 11-18 overall. Excuse me, 11-8 overall. They've won 6 games in a row. Texas Southern 5-1, 8-11 overall. They've won 5 games in a row. Jackson State 5-1, 5-14 overall. They've won one. Bama State moves up to 4-2, 8-11 overall. They've won 2 in a row. Bethune 4-2, 7-12 overall. They've lost one. FAMU, like I say, 3-3 in conference. They're now 6-11 overall. They've won 3 games in a row. Alcorn 3-3, 3-16 overall. They've lost one. Prairie View 3-4, 4-16 overall. They've lost 3 in a row. Alabama A&M 2-4 overall, 2-4 in conference, 6-13 overall. They've lost 4 in a row. And Grambling is 2-4, 5-14 overall. They won one. Pine Bluff is 0-6, 3-16 overall. They've lost 6 in a row. And Valley 0-7, 2-18 overall. They've lost 11 in a row. Looking at what we have coming up on Monday, um, Florida A&M is at Jackson State. Bethune-Cookman is at Alcorn. Grambling is at Pine Bluff. Southern is at Valley. Prairie View is at Alabama A&M, and Texas Southern is at Bama State. So keep it here. I'll drop my picks on Monday, Monday morning or so, maybe late Sunday night, Monday morning. My picks will be up for these games. So y'all keep it locked here, and we will catch y'all on the rebound. Peace.